Yeah, I did about 20 wars. I spent a lot of time in Northern Ireland, which was a war of sorts, wasn't it? A lot of time in Beirut, the Iranian Revolution, attempted coups all over Africa, the war in Rhodesia, Zimbabwe, and so on.
In 2001, you were also, I believe, you must have been there when the September the 11th attacks occurred.
Yes.
What was your experience of that?
I was in the theatre, actually,
Really?
on the South Bank at a matinee. And I just got in, because I'd done the morning programme, and got in and listened to the PM programme, and I was, you know, you're trying to piece together what was happening. It just sounded absolutely incredible. I was just staggered by it. And I went in as usual the next day for my shift, you know, because they don't rush people in and change everything usually, because it's important to keep continuity, and a story of that kind is going to be going on for so many days. You know, you want to keep people rested and refreshed.
Sure thing.
So I didn't have anything to do with it on the day.
Right, because we did come across some interesting things to do with World Trade Center Building 7 that collapsed on 9/11, and basically sort of claims that the BBC had reported a collapse of that building in advance of its actual collapse.
I don't know that. I haven't heard that one.
Right.
I mean, the BBC is a big organisation. I suppose it's possible. I'm surprised I haven't heard it.
Have you heard of World Trade Center Building 7? Or no? Okay. Because I mean, we've seen footage of yourself reporting the collapse of that building, and that has been time coded as 23 minutes in advance of its actual deterioration. You may remember Jane Stanley.
Yes, I know. Yes, I know she was a reporter there. Yeah.
On September the 11th, you were in BBC World Studio.
Yes.
And news came in. I think you were the first, not the first, but you said, we're hearing reports now that the Salomon Brothers building has collapsed. Do you not remember
I don't remember it, no.
Right.
My memory is not my strongest suit, and there was so much going on. I really don't remember the sequence of events. Yeah.
Well, basically, this is. I'm glad to talk to you because we're not here to antagonise you. But basically, this building was a 47-storey steel structured building, the Salomon Brothers building, and it collapsed roughly at about 23 minutes past 5. New York time on September the 11th, and it contained.
I wasn't in the studio, I'm sure, that day. I didn't go in.
Not on 9/11?
No. As I said, I was in the theatre in the afternoon, and then we drove straight home, and I came back for my shift the following day. That's my recollection. Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago, I was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing. And indeed it has. Apparently that's only a few hundred yards away from where the World Trade Center towers were. And it seems that this was not a result of a new attack. It was because the building had been weakened. During this morning's attacks. We'll probably find out more now about that.
And in I think it was about 2006, it emerged, this piece of footage emerged, actually of you and Jane Stanley. And a lot of people said, hold on a minute, in the video of Jane reporting the collapse of the building, you can actually see the Salomon Brothers building behind her.
We'll probably find out more now about that from our correspondent, Jane Stanley. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
As you can see behind me, the Trade Center appears to be still burning. We see these huge clouds of smoke and ash, and we know that behind that there's an centerpiece of what was a very familiar New York skyline, a symbol of the financial prosperity of this city.
Well, this is all news to me. I'm surprised.
It would have been later. I guess it would have been later for English time.
Oh yeah, now it's coming back to me. Yeah, of course, because at that stage I wasn't doing the morning; I was doing the evenings.
Yeah.
World.
That's right.
So I went with my son to the theatre, heard it on the radio, and then went into the studio. You're quite right.
Yeah.
And I was on that night. You're
That's
quite
right.
Yeah.
Now we think our interpretation of it was because this has caused such a lot of controversy. The editor of BBC World had to come out and make a public statement as to why it was that the BBC had reported on air the collapse of a building prior to its actual collapse. And the second reason why it's so controversial is because to this day, no scientist or engineer has been able to provide a plausible reason for this building's collapse. And in fact, the National Institute of Standards and Technology report states that even the most plausible scenario is highly unlikely.